looking back on your career, what what is something that you're proud of when you look at your PhD self? What are some things that he did that you're really proud of today?
That's an interesting question. I'll answer it two ways. One that doesn't answer your question, but one that does. I mean, definitely. I mean, I think something that I'm proud of is, I tend not to just follow the existing trends, but actually think about the future in terms of what are the limitations. Okay, like there's the hot stuff that we're all working on now, but let's say it's all successful. Like what next? What are the limitations that will remain, right? Even as a PhD student, I always advocated for feature learning back when feature engineering was a hot thing, or like the common way to do it. Of course, I wasn't smart enough to know exactly how to do it. But I was always about combining learning and robotics even early on before it was, popular. I think kind of just maybe more holistically thinking about the broad topics rather than being bogged down into, like, okay, this is my favorite tool or favorite mathematical method or whatever that I'm excited about. You know, I feel like I did that, yeah, relatively well. I think in terms of the most thing I'm proud of, I think would be my students, current PhD students and graduated PhD students. Just because I think one of the things that you were mentioning, which is that my lab does do a whole lot of different things. Part of that is because I try to encourage students to follow their passions, and have students understand. Of course, it's a hard thing to even figure out, like, what are you passionate about, and then follow that, right? And so that's why we tend to have a lot of disparate works, but they all kind of collectively move towards, improving overall intelligence, robustness, generalization in robotics, and multimodal models. And so I think, definitely very proud of all my students who've done amazing jobs at forming these new kind of sub areas, like you were alluding to, um, that, sometimes even get picked up by other groups and as like new sub areas. Yeah, definitely, yeah, very proud of my students and all the things they're accomplishing after they leave as well.
Looking into this century, say that your kids came up to you and said, "Hey, Dad, I really want to work in robotics and machine learning." What piece of advice would you give them to navigate
Sure,
this world?
sure. And I will say, the more I talk about AI and robotics to my kids, the less they want to do it. So I try not to push it. Although my son is actually this summer trying to build a robot. So we will see. So yeah, I mean, I think, my advice again is always just follow your passion and enjoy the process and just the journey. Maybe is a bit cliche, but I think a lot of times we focus on kind of goals or deliverables or like, doing well, or, oh, what if this particular area is not hot right now and maybe it'll just die off? Should I like switch to something else just because of that? Or I need to get a job and things like that. I think ultimately in life, you want to, minimize the things that you don't want to do and maximize the things you're passionate about. And so really finding your passion is the first hard thing, and it could evolve. Even me, my things that I'm interested in evolve over time as, of course, the field evolves. And just taking all opportunities that allow you to potentially do the things that you're passionate about, right? I think sometimes one of the things that maybe more junior people tend to do is self filter, like, oh, I'll never get that fellowship, like, oh, this, opportunity is like not relevant to me or whatever. And instead, I think, you should not self filter, aim for taking all opportunities that come in your way to that will increase the chances that you can follow your passion, and maximize the things that you want to do.